From the west to the midwest, a rivalry spark. Every matchup hits heavy, every barn gets dark. Fast ice, big hits, every night feels prime. NCHC, hockey legends built over time. Free talk, grit talk, glory talk, battles on blades. Talk, goal lines, scrambles, and overtime shades. From the booth to the bench, every story rings true. If you love this game, then this show's for you.
There we go. Go. Hang on. We do not have audio from the other participants for some reason. Let's double check that. See what's going on there. Why is that doing that? Hate this thing. Let's see. Let's remove. You know what? You're not wrong. Let's remove that for a second. So while I'm doing this, welcome to another episode. It's been a bit of a hiatus. I was doing some stuff, had some new work stuff going on. You still can't hear anybody but me. Let's try this one. All right. Anybody? Mike, how are you doing? Let's see. Nope, still not working. Why is that a thing? That's awesome. All right, you know what? Enjoy the new song again while I figure this shit out.
Skates hit ice and the crowd roars. Goal horns blast every time the home team scores. From the barn to the broadcast, we bring the sound. Fight songs echo through every college town. Cold air biting while the pace stays strong. NCHC nights run fast and long. Blades cut deep and the boards shake tight. This is college hockey, every shift, every night. Welcome to the nation.
All right, take two here. Let's see what's going on. If I know it's not this one. Well, I mean, it should be. I don't understand what is happening. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's call it test for now, because what difference does it make? This is going swimmingly, and I love everything that's happening right now. Nope, because that's going to do... don't want to do that, actually. It should be... Okay, try again. I can hear you, but they can't hear you. Why? You know what? Let me try something here. See if I do.
The only problem is you're not saying good afterwards.
If I do that.
See if they answer that, then you'd know exactly how old they are.
Okay, hang on. Someone? Anybody? Can you hear me now? You guys can hear me, right? It was just working 3 seconds ago. Oh, I hate everything, including dog farts. What is happening? And the panic is beginning to set in. And the panic is beginning to set in.
It's just funny. Like, I hate everything.
Oh. Are you working now? No! You know what? Somebody count to something. Count to 10, Mike. Nope, still only hearing my big stupid self. Why? Yeah.
You're never too old to learn.
Oh. It makes noise for like 3 seconds and then it stops. Why are you doing that? Also, I don't need anything out of you. You shush. One of you say something.
One of us. One of us.
Oh!
You got it? You got it?
Yes.
One of us.
You know what? I hope you enjoyed the last 5 minutes of Polish audio technician, because I'm not redoing it.
But do we have it for more than 3 seconds?
Everything appears to be working. There are bars doing this when you guys talk and not just going. We got this going, so we're good.
All right, perfect.
I hate everything. Hate everything. All right. Well, now that we're about like 5 minutes into the show, Mike, you want to kick off the old intro?
Sure. 5 minutes delayed after a hiatus, as Wes said, as he was messing around with whatever he was doing over there. Got the whole crew together. We were after the conference championships, the selection Sunday, which apparently I did not watch it. It was completely boring. We know where teams are going and who's playing who and when.
We do. And you know what? There was one change made from 1 through essentially the highest, where the highest seeds and lowest seeds are. So it wasn't, I mean, if you knew what the NPI was, you pretty much knew who was playing who anyway. I think Cornell and Wisconsin was the only change.
Yeah, just to avoid that interconference matchup.
It's Cornell and Dartmouth, right?
Yep.
But dude, maybe it's just because I've been paying more attention this year, but I swear to God, there is more complaining about the bracket this year than there has been in years past.
Well,
and
yeah,
that's where I want to start.
It's because all of those East Coast teams have to go west to Sioux Falls.
Well, not only that, but then it's like, they don't actually care about attendance and they don't care about the bracket and some other things. Like, yeah, no shit. Or they're not neutral sites. Yeah, no one said they were going to be. You know how you know they're not neutral sites? Because you put in a bid to host a thing and there's a host school who's in that regional no matter what. Like, it's not gonna be neutral when you have a host team that, if they make the tournament, is in that regional.
Plus, like, North Dakota going to Sioux Falls, it's going to be full anyway. It's just going to be full of North Dakota fans instead of, 3 teams that don't go anywhere near Sioux Falls the entire year.
And the hope is
North Dakota goes, they're going to fill the arenas anyway.
Yeah.
They could play in Iceland and they would fill that arena.
I will say, I was expecting more people a couple years ago in St. Louis when it was the Big Ten versus the NCHC down there. It might have been just because that game started late, but not as big of a crowd as I was hoping for.
I'm talking about the one down in Centene.
2 years ago at Lindenwood's arena.
Lindenwood.
Yeah, over there at Centene. I think part of that is because it's only like a 3,500 seat, maybe 4,000 seat arena.
I mean, it was small, but it was also not full for any of the games. And that's the other thing too, is like when there are very few people going to both games in that day, like very few. Nobody is staying, or I mean, there are some. Like I stayed for both games because I spent 6 hours in a car and I was not about to not get my money's worth for my ticket that day. But that second game was miserable, and it might have been because Western lost in the fashion that they did. But that second game between North Dakota and U of M was just brutal to sit through. And you could tell like those people were not there for the Western Michigan State game. But, the people who were rooting for North Dakota or Michigan, they'd spent the afternoon at the casino that was on the other side of the parking lot. And I would assume that other things happened at other regionals or at, Fargo last year. Like people only picked like one game and it was the game you were following the closest to go to.
Yeah, I went to the Loveland Regional in 2022, and it was the same thing when I think it was Duluth and Michigan Tech who played in the first game. Hardly anybody was there, but for the Denver Lowell game, that was a full house, obviously.
And honestly, I think like they would be better off at this point in having like a morning session only ticket, an all sessions ticket, and like a game 2 ticket. Like split it up. Don't make them all like all day tickets when you know that you're missing out on attendance, because again, people are probably only going to go to one. The select few who are going to go to 2 would probably pay for both, even if it's a little bit more expensive, and you would get probably more fans for either game.
I was about to say you're gonna get better attendance if you split it out, and more revenue too, because you can charge the one rate for for single admission, and then jack it up for the all session. I mean, yeah, you might lose a little bit, but I think you're gonna get that revenue made up when you account for the single ticket sales.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen quite a few different places where it's people like, hey, so I know so and so who's a Penn State fan, but I'm a this fan. Like, is there any way that we can like one of us go to the one game and the other one go to the other? And they're like, nope, got to buy one ticket apiece and go to both. Or once you scan it in, you're stuck. So it just seems like it would make way more sense to do it that way.
This is the NCAA we're talking about, though.
I mean, there's a million things that they could do that would make more sense. But if they're stuck on doing these regionals off-site, like that would be something that I think would be more beneficial than the way they're doing it now, and then constantly bitching that you're not getting the attendance that you want or need to continue to do these sites. So it's a thought,
I think most of the people, like you said, they're the people that are going to sit through all day sessions are either like retirees or, maybe if they're close enough, they can take a half day or something. Like they're more apt to go to one session or the other. And it's even the Frozen Face Off when it was at the X. You get the 2 sessions. Well, everybody, like you get your one session, your afternoon session for the one semi, and then the other, they kind of leave and other people come in, just kind of stuck with both.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's plenty of people who want to watch the other games. I mean, so,
yeah.
They're either crowded in the concourse if they have the other games on in between, or, I mean, hell, the teams aren't even there for both games. Some of them don't even get there till like the second period if they're in the afternoon game to start warming up, and the first ones are out by the time their game's over to try and rest. Maybe a few stay and watch the second game to see, but it's mostly like the coaching staff or that are staying, or the parents and stuff. So I mean, it's not really benefiting anybody by having one ticket and half full arenas for 2 games and then going, why doesn't anyone go to these games? So
yeah.
And if you don't want to do home site stuff, like, I mean, we're staring at a broken system, and everyone has a different fix, but they don't want to take any of the fixes. They're just like, what's the new duct tape color we can fucking put on this and see how thick we can get it.
I think one thing that I've just kind of learned about it with the women's basketball tournament was they have to kind of win their way into a home site. Like the Gophers women's team didn't know if they were going to host their regional or not until pretty much selection Sunday, and then or it was the day before they put out the host sites, and it was like, oh crap, the Gophers went in, and then at least you're gonna get a bunch of people in there, and I don't know whoever else was. It was like Green Bay was in there, which perfect. They can make the trek across. Ole Miss probably not going to come up to Minnesota in March, and then I don't even remember who the fourth team was. But at least having that excitement and having it at a home arena and announcing it the day before or the day of, because you still have time. People can do the tickets. Only problem with that is other fans might not be able to take off and go to that host arena.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that would be a problem no matter what, whether you did home sites or not, is it's going to be heavily favored for the home team,
Right.
more so than it is just having a host who's within X amount of miles. Because I mean, that's the other thing they try to do is they try to put the one seed 1 through 4, depending on where you're at, closest to your your hometown too. So you want to at least get the host team and the 1 seed to fill out the majority of the arena. And again, sometimes those aren't. Imagine if like it had been Western versus Denver. You're gonna get one huge crowd for one game, and then nobody for the second game.
Yeah.
Because if one, if it had worked out where they were the 1 and 4 in that region, it just so happens that they're like 1-2 in that region, and you don't have to really worry about it, and you could get a good final. Or if they both lose in the first day, and you have Minnesota State versus Cornell, like that's going to be a limited crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be a good one for people who like goaltenders.
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 good goalies in that regional, for sure.
The regional is stacked.
That one and Albany looks like a grueling one too, other than Bentley. But who knows? Bentley could shock the world and upset Michigan. You could overlook them.
We've seen those Atlantic Hockey champions come in with those 4-1 upsets many times.
Who knocked out Michigan State last year? Wasn't it?
I think it was Cornell last year.
I was going to say, wasn't it Cornell? Because they were a low. I think they were the 16 seed last year. Because I think State.
No, Bentley was a 16 last year, but they took BC down to the wire.
Yeah.
It was just too late by BC.
That's right. BC was the 1 overall.
But no, it was Cornell as the 4 seed that took down Michigan State as the 1 seed, and in Mike Schaefer's swan song.
Yeah. Let's see. Otherwise, what's the other big stuff with the NCAA tournament? A lot of people talking about how the regionals need to go to home site. I'm down for it. I think the environment would be better, but again, like I'm seeing like multiple different ways that they want to do this, and I think 2 of them are you literally have what 8 games, right, in the first round.
Yeah.
So are you doing 8 sites, 1 through 8 host, 9 through 16, or are you trying to do 1 through 4 host a regional? Because if you go 1 through 8 host, now you're stretching out the tournament another weekend because you're not going to try and make those trips in the same week, or at least stretching out maybe like a half week. There's going to be extra travel involved if you try to do that. ESPN's going to try and put their nose into it, and they're not going to say we're not sending 8 crews to 8 different places that we don't know until 4 days before the tournament starts. They don't even really have enough crews to do it who are even remotely knowledgeable. The crews that they have now barely know college hockey. Like it's a mess.
Honestly,
Right,
I
'cause
think the
then,
way
like-
that it has to be done is keep the 4-region format, and
Yeah.
top seed host the region at their barn.
And I guess the only, and that too has its issues. Western's luckily moving into a brand new barn, but there's no way Lawson could hold 4 teams. They barely hold 2. I'm not sure what the situation. I know Miami has quite a bit of space in their building. Omaha had enough room to host an entire pod. And a lot of places are moving to these new barns, but I think even U of M would have trouble hosting 4 teams at Yost. It is a very old, very narrow building, and nobody's comfortable in that building except for the 10 guys or the 12 guys skating around on the ice. They're the only ones with room.
Arizona State hosted an NHL team, so take that as you will.
Are we really going to call the Coyotes an NHL team?
Well,
okay, I apologize.
They're not
They
currently an NHL team.
They were an NHL team, maybe not an NHL level organization. Okay, they were made up of NHL talent worthy players, as we're seeing with the success that Doan's having in Buffalo and did not have in Arizona.
Well, it was at his debut. He scored 2 goals that night.
So, but I mean, I think there's just a lot fewer arenas that could host 4 teams. And you look at some of these colleges and they're in smaller, not everywhere is in a big area that could comfortably host 4 teams, whether it's the arena itself or the community around it. I mean, even Kalamazoo, who's solid size, I think would have trouble hosting 3 teams. And some of these buildings are shared spaces, like you were just saying. Arizona State was sharing its building with what was supposed to be an NHL team. When Western goes to their new building, they're supposed to be sharing it with the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team, and the local ECHL team. I think there's a couple other places that may or may not share. I know when Denver hosts, they host in the AHL building, the Colorado Eagles home ice most of the time. I think a couple of times it's been in what was the Pepsi Center. I think it's now the Bell Center, where the Abs play.
I'm not sure that the Bell Center has ever hosted a regional. I know it hosted the Frozen Four way back in 2008, and it's hosted one-off games during the regular season, but I don't think it's ever hosted a regional.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a shared space too. I think the Nuggets also play there.
Yep.
The big thing that all these cities, the big cities are going to multiple use venues, whether it's hockey and basketball, concerts, multiple, teams of any kind. I think even Van Andel Arena hosts, I think 3 professional sports teams, concerts, other live events. They put monster trucks in that tiny ass building every year. But there's a volleyball team, a basketball team, the hockey team. It's so much use out of some of these buildings, and that's why you see the same kind of places year in and year out rotate hosting stuff. And then we run into problems like we did last year with one of the Eastern regionals where the ice was just trash because they don't generally have hockey in that arena. It's just I
forgot about that one. What was that? Which one was that? Was it in Albany last year as well?
No, I think it was in New York, or it was in the Northeast. I don't remember which exact one it was.
Manchester, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
They hadn't hosted hockey in there in forever, or just didn't generally host hockey. That ended up being a mess. The regional in Lindenwood was played in Lindenwood's arena, which was one of the practice facilities for the Blues. So some of these, even again, that one was still luckily not everybody traveled there for God knows what reason, but that would have been hard to host a full regional if everybody had decided to go.
I'm looking at the numbers on attendance from that from that regional, and I guess the feature rink seats 2,500, but the announced attendance for all 3 games was just over 3,000.
Yeah. Like I said,
Yeah.
no game was really full, and then very few people stayed for the last game because, you know, unless you're really really into hockey or you're a fan of Michigan State and Michigan, you weren't staying for that championship game. Like,
Yeah, I'm just thinking that going back to the one seed that hosts it, typically they have the arena size, a lot of the one seeds, but then you get years like Mankato is not able to host that. St. Cloud, they wouldn't be able to host it. They like the kids would have to be basically staying in the cities and then driving up there. Same with Mankato, it's about an hour.
well, then if after this year, had St. Cloud hosted one, they'd be playing on Olympic ice in one regional, and everybody else is playing on regular ice, which doesn't matter because you're doing it when you play St. Cloud State, no matter what.
Yeah, but um, your point about the cities out east, they can do it host a little easier for the most part because a lot of those schools are right in the Boston area. Like when I was out there, drove past Northeastern, Harvard's right there. You have BC, BU, like all these schools. Then you have the New York schools, and there's a reason that they can play all these, but then their arenas aren't necessarily big enough for that. Where even Duluth, being 80,000 people, you get 4 hockey teams in there. Now, what do you kind of do with them? There's just not much in that area, so that you run into that too.
And you're asking, these cities to basically prepare on 4 days notice. Like I said, I mean, the selection day is now it's Sunday. The first games are Thursday. Teams are trying to travel probably Wednesday. They're getting into town Wednesday, if not Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
To set that up in a short window, that's, I guess, the benefit of the regional is where it is basically like 3 years in advance. I'm pretty sure they know where like the 2029 regionals are going to be already. So
it's a lot to ask for these arenas that do share. It's like we may have you kind of have to block that out, and it's just like Baxter here, or like you're saying, like other places that share, like you just can't schedule anything for that weekend just in case, and then you're just losing out on those dates.
Well, then I assume that it's similar at other schools as it is here. Is you have a lot of shared staff that works at all the venues on campus, and once you get to the end of hockey season, you're like, all right, well, this is the final game. We may have one more weekend if we're 1 through 4. Maybe we get a couple extra games, but we're going to start cutting staff down or sending them to other venues where we know like baseball's kicking off. So maybe you'll be at more baseball games. Tennis is starting. We're going to have more people working tennis games. We don't need people at the ice arena. The ice arena goes to like skeleton staff, but now you're like, oh, hey, by the way, we know that you were supposed to not have to work this week, but we're the 1 seed and we have 3 teams coming in. So now you have to actually pull extra work and do extra shit and make sure everything is clean, not just the normal spaces or let some things that, normally get missed away. And you can't work this game.
I'm sure Bob was trying to work or go on vacation, and all of a sudden, surprise, you got to work.
Yeah.
And his wife Ethel were going to go on a nice cruise at the end of the year. I just picture Usher Bob being an older guy. Don't worry about it.
I think by the time that you're referred to as Bob, you're generally in the older years. It's either Rob, Bob, Bobby.
Bobber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert when you're in trouble. But
or Roberto if you're so inclined.
Yeah. Maybe in the southern states. There are a lot of Robertos up here in the snowlands. But it's one of those things. I don't know that I don't think it's a one solution fits all, but they've got to figure out kind of something. And I think even a small step, if you're going to keep regionals, because they seem to be the most even if the most fair, I guess, to a certain degree, unless you were just to get rid of host teams and you just put 1 through 16 in random spots. Like, who cares who's where? And you keep it no matter what. You just go 1 through 16 matchups. 1 gets 16, 2 gets 14 or 15, no matter who's where. There's always a little bit of fudging around with it and making it seem more or less fair, but everyone's going to find something to bitch about. So I guess if everybody's miserable, it's the right system.
I mean, basketball doesn't do host teams; it's host conferences. I think, right?
I have no idea. I don't watch basketball.
I think there's host schools, but it's
schools aren't tied to playing in that region if they make the tournament.
Right. It's just like a very random school that's they're probably not going to be there.
Like if the Fiserv Forum hosts a region, it's probably like UW Milwaukee and whatever conference they're in that hosts it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How many conferences are there in college hockey? 6?
6.
All right, screw it. We just stick with the conferences are the regionals, the top 2 teams from each conference and 2 randos, 2 independents. And then if you're in the West, if you're in the NCHC or the CCHA, you play in the Western Conference. Or there's screw it. Those are the new regions. And then you'll have great attendance, you'll have great buildings, and no one will have a reason to bitch.
And it's West versus East. Championship.
And the final 4 will always be one of those conferences.
Yeah, that'll be all fine and well until somebody of Denver, Duluth, Western gets left out of the NCHC format.
Yeah.
Well, sucks to be them. You should have been top 2 in your conference.
Who cares about Omaha? Who cares about ASU? We're gonna battle it out on the ice 4 games next year anyway.
But like I said, if everybody's miserable, then it must be the right system. The one thing I honestly would think about changing is just the ticketing for the current regional format, and then just going strictly 1/16 no matter what. Don't mess with it. Don't futz with it. You'll get better attendance if you're not forcing people to go to pay for 2 games when they only want to go to 1. You're opening your ticketing packages to include more people. And I mean, there's plenty of time to try and figure it out. I think, like I said, going to regionals presents a whole new different set of problems, and you got to figure out, and you got to have people agree on which system they want to do. 1 through 8 host or 1 through 4 host. Pray to God someone like Air Force isn't the number 1 team in the country. Or somehow it's not BU and BC 1 and 2, because that would be fantastic. 8 teams in Boston, 10 miles apart from each other. Hey, ESPN would love it. 8 teams right in their backyard.
They wouldn't have to send anybody. They would just do it locally.
Just have Bucharest drive between both arenas. Fuck it.
No, give Bucci 1 and Cohen the other.
No, they got to be a team, because they have to tell the same story of his game-winning goal in 2009 against Miami in the comeback.
So, over under how many times is he gonna talk about that? Because he's gonna be in Loveland with me this weekend.
Why couldn't Miami have won that game?
Would have made everyone happier.
We could hear about how Alex Martinez had a national championship as well as his 3 Stanley Cups instead.
See, that's a better story than Cohen's cup of coffee in the NHL.
Yeah, the one thing he did was have a comeback on Miami. Instead of peaking in high school, he peaked in college, and everybody knows it because it was on national TV.
The funny thing is, like, now it doesn't look that impressive with how well Miami has done recently. It's like, I had a game-winning goal against Miami. Everyone's like, they made the national championship?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah,
the national title game.
Would they still be bad now if they had won that national championship? Or
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they went from, what was it, like 2 to 8 when they switched over to the NCHC. They finished like pretty decent the first year, and then were an 8th seed in the second year. Did make the NC or did win the conference tournament. I think that second year. No, they went the other way. Shit, which way was it? Because the first year was. I know I had it written down, but because I think the first year it was like 6 versus 8, and it was the lowest seed matchup for the Frozen Face-Off win, and then Denver's the lowest seed to win it at 6.
Yeah.
So I think Miami was 8 that year, and then they jumped up. They jumped up to like 2 or something because it was I think St. Cloud State and Miami.
Yep.
And the second year, Miami won the conference tournament the second year of the conference.
Yeah, I remember that because they had kicked someone out like minutes before the end of the game. They had someone ejected, and then he just was in the tunnel as the game ended, and he came back out right as the horn blew and celebrated. And I was like, "Can you do that? Can you do that?"
Yeah, you can celebrate as long as the game's over. Because the Western captain got ejected in the conference tournament win in the CCHA against Michigan. He got 5 in a game for a call late in the 3rd period and had to watch the rest of the game from the locker room, and then was out celebrating and during the trophy presentation.
As long as you're not physically on the bench.
Yeah, I think as long as you're not on the bench in the game, or if it went to overtime, then they'd have to still wait and stay out.
Well, not to pick on Miami excessively, but I'm still going to here. Since winning the NCHC championship in 2015, they've won 1 game in the conference tournament since.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They have been fighting for last place with Colorado College. Yeah, you're 2 all time. Oh, you know, you've won more than. Well, you'd have to have 3. You have 3 conference wins at least.
Yeah.
Or tournament wins.
We don't have a Frozen Face-Off championship. We got more wins than that since then.
So, you have at least 3 Frozen Face-Off wins, and that was like 2 years ago. I know you have at least 3.
We have 2 conference tournament wins
because you made the finals a couple years ago.
There's 2 in 24.
Maybe 3 in 24.
3.
Unless we're only talking about like the semis and after.
3. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got more than 1.
But I think Colorado College is and who else was it? Someone else? No, Colorado College is the only team that has not won the Frozen Face-Off. I think everybody else has a Frozen Face-Off championship.
I wish.
Well, and Arizona State, but they've only been here for 2 years. So, let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, I mean, you know, Denver won the Frozen Face-Off tournament. North Dakota won the Penrose.
It was a fun environment on Saturday.
Brent was there, yeah. It looked like it. Dude, that was a hell of a game because it looked like Denver was going to run away with it there for a while, and then Duluth came storming back and had
just like last year. Just like last year. I had flashbacks.
I told him that too. I was like, you remember what happened last time? Fucking Denver was up 3-0 in a championship game.
Wes was telling me that too, and I was like, yeah, it's over. I'm gonna go back to watching basketball. And Wes goes 3-1. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, I got to turn it back.
Yeah.
So I turned it back and I watched the rest of the game. And it was, I mean, it was entertaining, especially once I turned it back on. And that overtime, I mean, the overtime was really good. Just kind of sucks that we were on the wrong end, but we were going to make the tournament anyway. And that's kind of why I didn't feel too bad shutting it off at 3-0, because I'm like, it's really not going to make a difference at this point who wins or who loses. Like, Denver's locked in at where they are. We're going to be locked in where we are, whether we win or lose. It was just kind of for funsies. Just wanted that one up on them for the trophy count. But oh well, it is what it is.
For at least another year, Western remains the only team to win all 3 trophies for the NCHC in the same season.
I realized too, there were only 2 teams this year that won regular season and conference championship.
Our good buddy Tristan Lemare is on one of those teams. That little bastard.
And
He's coming for you.
Going for his 3rd straight national championship with 3 different teams.
Dude,
I am go through the gauntlet.
He's got to go through potentially both of his former teams to get there. I think it's hilarious. I swear to God, I did not want him to play against Western.
It's funny because he's had a hell of a year too.
Yeah, he's the leading scorer on that team. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you get playtime.
Yeah, go from a team guy on 2 national championship teams, and then
to the guy on the CCHA champion.
That dude has a trophy case, and I tweeted this, that rivals some coaches. 3 conference regular season championships, 3 conference tournament championships, 2 national championships. Honestly, a good shot to get 3 because he's got a great goaltender behind him. He's got a team that's playing really well. I mean, honestly, I think if Minnesota State can get through that regional, they've got to be a danger to win the whole thing.
Yeah, that was my initial reaction. I forgot to watch the show because I was on my way to the airport, but I saw that regional and I was like, whoever wins this regional has a very good chance at winning the national championship.
I mean, two teams
certainly got it. Yeah.
2 teams were in the Frozen Four last year, Western and Denver.
I mean, it's basically the group of death when you think about it.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. We have to suffer through Bucci and Cohen. I'm just gonna listen to mute.
I would listen to it at mute, but I'm gonna be at work, so I actually need the sound because I can't just stare at my phone during work hours. But
I think we're gonna probably have to get. I don't know if they'll send Bucci to Albany, but UMD Penn State just for the Gavin McKenna hype.
Yeah, except they're putting that game on at like 9 at night or some nonsense. It's a late game.
Yeah.
It should be like a 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock start time for that one. And that one should be so freaking like prime time.
Well, here's the thing that rubs me the wrong way is Cornell Denver is relegated to ESPN Plus.
I mean, I don't care because I use ESPN Plus and Hulu for anything anyway. So,
well, I mean, so do I. But it's like at the end of the day, if you have it all, it doesn't make a difference. But for those who have one or the other, it's like okay, I got to add this on for a month. Not even.
And sometimes people don't even have ESPNU. Like you need the Plus or whatever. It's like.
Well, I remember like back in high school before ESPN Plus and ESPN3 were really a thing. My dad would actually add on the expanded sports and info tier to our Cox cable subscription.
I remember
just for the 2 weeks for the regionals before the Frozen Four started.
I remember when ESPN3 started, and if you were on a college campus and had college internet, it was free.
Well, was it ESPN3 first, or was it ESPN first?
It was ESPN3.
Okay. I do remember it being free on college campuses, too, with your .edu email.
Yep.
ESPN 8 might have been first.
Yocho? Yeah. But we use that for some stuff. That's the other thing with like if some of these buildings just are not. Here's the other thing that I'm hearing a lot of complaints about was like the coverage of the NCHC tournament and it being all online and just everyone bitching to NCHC.tv or to the conference in general. The conference is not in control of anything that happens with NCHC TV other than they give you a way to watch the games. They take the signal that is given to them by the universities, that is run by the universities, and you get what you get. Places like Lawson suck for broadcast. Omaha is not great. Probably the best broadcast you're gonna get is North Dakota or St. Cloud State. Sometimes Denver is decent if it's altitude TV versus just their local broadcast.
ASU is hit or miss.
ASU is hit or miss. Colorado College is hit or miss. Miami is not great ever. Western's not great 97% of the time. So I'm glad I don't have to watch Western games on NCHC TV.
Well, that made me glad I couldn't see half the game anyway when you guys curb stomped us.
But
ours, we upgraded our cameras, I think, from 1995 to 2005, so that was a plus.
I think Western
in the right millennium.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see if Western spends the time and effort to upgrade that the video audio stuff in the new arena. I mean, you kind of have to, but it being a multi-use arena and having basketball in there as well, I think helps it a little bit, just because of how much effort ESPN puts into covering college basketball. They have crews pretty much everywhere. I think almost every college basketball game, no matter the conference, is on ESPN Plus or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a thing too. And I think even in some of if it were to go to regionals, that would be something you'd have to contend with too, because ESPN would have to send camera crews to figure out how to shoot all of those buildings. And Western Michigan sucks for the press people. The press box is small. There's not really spots to set up the cameras. I think if anyone's ever been to Lawson Arena, I think besides me, none of you guys have, but there's scaffoldings around the arena where they put the camera crews. It's not the best setup at all, but it is what it is, and we make the best that we can do with it. And everyone knows and everyone's aware of the audio issues. And like I said, it's not necessarily the NCHC's fault. They can only take what they're given and push it out to the subscribers, and you kind of get what you get. So I think at this point, I mean,
it was unfortunate that that the contract with CBS Sports didn't renew for at least for the conference tournament. But what can you do?
I'll tell you what, I knew that sucker was not going to get renewed at the awards banquet last year. If you paid attention to the way Dave Starman spoke during his speech, you were like, "Oh, we're done with CBS Sports."
Oh yeah, no, I was up there for the banquet. I could read it too.
They are not coming back. Some other news: we had some coaching shifting arounds. Another thing that I think people need to just use their brains a little more. The amount of people who thought that Frischweiler was going to go to Minnesota is insane. Ridiculous. And the amount of people who I saw were like, but he's from Minnesota. And the dude has like barely any ties left to Minnesota. He was born in Rochester. Cool. I think he has played more hockey outside of the state of Minnesota than he ever played in the damn thing.
I mean, for one, the buyout was going to be stupid. 1.9 million, I think, right?
Yeah, something like that. 1.6, 1.9. I saw both numbers.
And then no matter what, if Minnesota were to have made him an offer, Western was just going to come right back and match it.
Yeah, and I've heard that they didn't even talk to him, which was smart. But all the people are like, but he's from Minnesota. And he was originally supposed to go to Duluth. He spent one semester there, maybe. I don't even think he finished the year there before going back to the minors. He then spends 3 years at Western. He goes and plays his pro career. He settles down in either St. Louis or Kansas City. I can never remember which one. Builds up their juniors programs in kids hockey down there. Becomes an assistant coach at Western for a few years. Goes up to the Red Wings with Jeff Blashill. Goes to Grand Rapids with Blashill, then goes to the Red Wings with Blashill, then comes back to Western as an assistant coach, where it's spoken but unspoken that if the writing on the wall is anything to pay attention to, it's kind of like you're coming back to be the successor if and when Andy Murray decides he's had enough. And he does at the late in the summer one year. Frischweiler takes over, has is back at his alma mater, has a pet project of a $500+ million arena that is his pet project to some degree or another. It's more his than the basketball coach because they just fired the men's basketball coach. So whatever input he put into the thing is worth a whole hell of a lot. New women's basketball coach within the last couple of years as they've been building the arena. So it's literally Ferschweiler's pet project in his arena, and the basketball team is just benefiting from the thing, as well as the ECHL team, because it's supposed to be Western's arena when it's all said and done. Like the donor who's paying for the thing is like, yeah, once it's profitable and productive and it works, we're donating it to the university. Like it's not taxpayer money building the thing. It's not the city's arena, even though it's called the Kalamazoo Event Center. It will be Western's arena. He just won a national championship here, and there's no upgrade to going to Minnesota that would beat out being at Western Michigan. New facility that's going to be packed out with training facilities and workout rooms, and he has a clear way of developing players that have gotten to the NHL, so he's not getting a boost from the fact that they're Minnesota players by any stretch of the imagination. He's got a AD who believes in everything he's doing and has builds every program as best as he can. He's the hottest thing on campus. Like, it was not an upgrade to go after Ferschweiler. Now, I will say that they scored getting Larson because he's upgrading in every way humanly possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you were gonna pull anybody from Western, you should have shot your shot at Jason Herter. Like, that would have been the coach I would have tried to get from Western Michigan. Not a Western alum, not really have any ties to the place. He's a guy who still goes back to Minnesota every offseason and hangs out over there. That's the other thing about Fersch. He does hockey development in Kalamazoo and in Kansas City or St. Louis, wherever the hell it is. I can never freaking remember. In the summer. So he doesn't even go like hang out and travel in Minnesota. The only time he's in Minnesota is either to recruit players or because Western's playing there. Like he's not setting up shop hoping and praying that Minnesota calls like he's PJ Fleck. Like, Christ. But no, Larson upgrades in every way. The facility is better because we all know that the Herbs Brooks National Ice Center, whatever the hell it's called, is in desperate need of repair, and it's supposed to get some over the summer. They're losing the big ice. The university as a total is financially in turmoil. I think they lost like 40% of their student body. The arena, other than outside of like what they're going to fix, doesn't get many people. Like the games aren't full. The seats suck. The most uncomfortable thing I've ever sat in, other than straight no back bleachers at Yost. My legs fell asleep during the game. Couldn't even stand up to go to the bathroom. I had to like sit there and shake them out for 10 minutes before I could go pee. It was stupid. Awful.
Hilarious. It was hilarious to watch in person.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But no, so he upgrades to a better facility. He's potentially going to steal some of the better players from St. Cloud once the portal opens and he's allowed to. He's going to get better financial backing. And then, there's the people like, well, he only made the finals with Motzkow's team. And Mike and I have made this point previously. I'm not entirely sure how true that statement is anymore, based on what I've like paid attention to around Western Michigan. Your associate head coaches and your assistant coaches are doing a lot more of the recruiting lifting than the head coaches. Now the head coach might have the final say, but it's definitely like the associate head coach or the assistant coaches who are the ones missing games if they're in an area where they want to recruit a player, doing the grunt work and really kind of being like, hey, this is a guy I think even you should look at and get to know and get the final say on. So I think that's a thing that's missing in some of those conversations when you look at what a head coach does or doesn't do, is who were his assistants, how much recruiting were they doing versus the head coach. Because look at some of the teams, when they lose that main recruiter. Well, there's a lot of teams who've kept the same head coach for forever, but the recruiting goes down and because an associate head coach left or an assistant coach left, and they're not pulling from the same talent pool, or someone's not as good at understanding talent or what's developable, and they're just picking names out of hats or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you look like
Arizona State saw that to an extent when Albie O'Connell moved on to his next opportunity.
And same goes for, you know, when you get some of these assistant coaches who are really good at being recruiters, and they step into head coaching jobs, and they're like, why doesn't he have the same success as a head coach as he did as an associate coach? Like, I don't know, maybe he's not spending as much time recruiting. Maybe he's got other responsibilities now that takes him away from the strength that he has as a recruiter or watching film, as opposed to, you know, talking to donors and trying to get more money donated, or saying how cool the new $500 million arena is going to be and how you haven't been said no to by a sponsor in 3 years. You know, like, those are different attributes that go into a head coach versus an associate coach too. But I think Herter would have been the one I would have gone after from Western, and there's some throwing his name around for the St. Cloud State job. That job seems to be more poison than it was really worth, and as much as I think Herter's in line for a head coaching job, I might stay away from that one.
I think one of the there's been a couple of names that I've heard scrolling around off the. I've got one of them readily available here. It was Nick Oliver.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Who is in Fargo right now in the USHL. I think that's, you know, certainly a top option. I'm not sure of anybody else who would be readily linked aside from maybe some other USHL guys.
Yeah, I mean, Noreen's had decent success here in his second year with Miami, as far as a USHL guy who's moved up. I mean, if you listen to some of the head coaches too, when they talk about their associate coaches, you know, how much they do and how much they're affecting the program, First is never not given JJ Crew and Jason Herter their props. And I don't think he would stand in the way if those opportunities arose and those guys wanted to take them. But I don't see First wanting anything unless it's maybe an NHL job. But even then, I don't see that really being anything in the next couple years. Also, unlike in football, you know, the NCHC is not a stepping stone conference to get to somewhere like the Big Ten. I wouldn't even say it's a stepping stone to get to, unless you're an associate coach or an assistant coach, to get to Hockey East or the Atlantic, or, you know, this is the conference that guys want to be in if they're coaching. And we have some very long-term coaches here. Sandlin, long-time coach at his university and in the conference. Dane Jackson, longtime assistant coach at North Dakota before getting kind of stepped over by Brad Berry, and then eventually getting the position when Brad was let go. Powers has been at ASU for two transitions now, and been there for a long time.
Since he started as an assistant in 2008, and he's been head coach since 2010.
Carl has been a long time at Denver. He started as an assistant coach in 2008 when his career was medically ended. You know, and that's another guy. You're not going to pry Carl out of Denver. I don't care who you are. The way that university treated him as a student and as a player, and now as a coach, like, you'll be hard pressed. Like, that dude's not going to go unless he wants to, and it's going to be to somewhere that, like, he absolutely has done everything he could in the college game and only wants to prove that he could coach at the NHL level. So when he gets medically retired, the university says, you know what? We understand that you were supposed to come here as a player. It didn't work out. I think he has a heart condition that was diagnosed at the NHL Combine. Doctor said it's probably best that you don't play anymore. He says, okay. The university says, you know what? We're going to take your scholarship. You're going to keep it. You're going to come here as a student. And he instantly becomes an assistant coach, because Carl is 6 months younger than I am. the trajectory that our lives have taken. But so I mean, we literally start school at like the same time. He leaves for a couple years to be an assistant in the USHL, comes back.
He was with Green Bay for 2 seasons.
Yep. Comes back to Denver as an assistant, wins the national title as an assistant in 2017. Montgomery gets a job in the NHL, and they look no further than the guy down the bench from him and go, hey, it's your team now. Let's see what you can do with it. And he's had nothing but success over there. 2 national championships of his own, Penrose Cup here and there, a NCHC tournament championship, like numerous players making it to the pro ranks. Like, you're not pulling that dude out of there.
And not to mention, he's been able to win 2 golds at the World Juniors as well.
Yeah. You know, he's done it with Team USA. So I mean, and he has a young family that he's built. And being in Denver for almost 20 years now, like, it's gonna be hard pressed to get some of those guys out of there. And that was another dude that it was fantastical that Minnesota was even trying to say they were going to pull away from. A dude who literally has, you know what his ties to Minnesota are? He played high school hockey at Shattuck St. Mary's. Dude's from Alaska. Like, is going to leave the #1 championship team in college hockey to go coach at Minnesota. Not a chance. Not a chance. Again,
I don't really count Shattuck as Minnesota.
Like, you probably shouldn't, because they got more Canadian kids than any team in the NHL. But I mean, it's you have to look at what you're shopping for and what's going to literally draw people in, and it's not all going to be money. I think that's the thing that people forget too, is like, for the most part, what's the one thing that everyone talks about hockey-wise? How expensive it is. So 80-90% of the players come from some sort of money to have played since they were 3. I think that's why you don't see as big of deals for the NIL, because they already have money, as opposed to some of the other sports where they're cheaper to play. They're more of known for building wealth from less desirable areas of the country. You know, you might get one shocking story about a kid in hockey as opposed to like the 18 that come out every year from football or basketball.
Yeah, and I think it all depends too. Like, you get a couple guys that are from up north, like not even counting Hermantown, Niskanen from Virginia, Adam Johnson from Hibbing, Scotty Perunovich. Not that they didn't have money, but they're kids' opportunities, because there's a lot of just hand-me-down equipment that people do because hockey is such a big culture up there. But a lot of these other areas where it's not such a big culture, it is difficult if you don't have money.
So I don't know. I don't think those are as big of drawing factors as people want them to be. What else? Oh, I guess we could do. I mean, we could do bracket picks if we want to. What do you guys think of the new changes to the portal, though? It doesn't open till after the national tournament. It's a little bit shorter window to jump in.
Love it. Love it.
More chaos.
Should have been done sooner.
I think so too. I think it was weird that dudes were already signed to new places, or not signed, but it was known where they were going and announced where they were going during the championship last year. And that's not to say that, again, I think everyone knows that conversations are already being had, and it's known what guys are going to be announcing they're in the portal and potentially where they're going. I think right now the only people who can enter the portal and have entered the portal are grad students, or like students who are of a certain age or whatever, because there are a few in I assume St. Cloud State's going to see quite a few transfer in.
Last I looked, I think there were 4 players in the portal.
There's 6 right now.
There's 6 right now.
Yeah.
They should all be graduate students with eligibility remaining.
They are Tyler Shea, goaltender from Brown, who is a senior. Jacob Bedell from Ferris State, who's a senior. Devin Phillips from Holy Cross, who's a senior. Evan Bushy from Lake Superior State, who's a junior. Drew Vighton from Niagara, who's a senior, and James Gray from St. Cloud State, who's a redshirt junior goaltender. Are the ones currently listed in the transfer portal, according to Sydney Wolf, anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking on Go for Puck Live. I see all these guys labeled as graduate transfers. So
yeah, I think it was the grad students were able to enter a little bit earlier, and then nobody else can enter until after the national tournament. But again, some of these dudes probably already know that they're going to and where they're going to be next year. It'd be interesting to see what happens down there in your neck of the woods there, Brent, with all your U Sports guys.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, and I'll be very interested to see how this off season goes, just because of yeah, you just don't know with as many new guys as we had and how the season went. It'd be interested to see, and with our incoming class that we already know of mostly. So,
I mean, you guys tried something and it didn't work, and I mean, it would have been it was a risk if it hit. Terrific, like, hey, something works. But it didn't. Then now it's like, okay, we gotta go a different direction.
Yeah, it's just very. It was an interesting season. It had a lot of downs, but it also had some ups that were like we beat some really good teams, and it showed that this team was able to do something. It just never came to be. Like, they had 1 3-game win streak, and that was at the very beginning of the season. Otherwise, it was we win one and then we'll lose a couple, and then we'll win one and then we'll lose a couple. And just
Hey,
it'll be interesting to see.
it could have always been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get last, so there you go.
Yeah, it was.
I'm just astonished that Miami still had a chance to be last place after all the improvement they made. Had they fallen all the way to last again, man, that'd have been just when Arizona awful.
The State's on the road to Denver for the last series of the season. Like, there was, I had zero faith that they would get any points.
I was really hoping that they were going to be able to pull off a miracle like last year. Could have used it, but they were of no help. And then we didn't really help ourselves either. So there's that.
That's what happens when you rely on others.
You're roboting a little bit, or is that just to me?
No, I hear it too.
Okay. Just making sure, because I know my internet is not the greatest. What was I looking for? Oh, yeah, the bracket. Not basketball. I don't want basketball.
I've got the bracket right up in front of me.
Well, good.
Unless
I need it in
control over it.
No, I just want to be able to see it with my own eyeballs because I don't remember all the teams. Because your buddy Paul keeps asking me about shit from Hockey East, and I'm like, Paul, I don't know anything outside of NCHC. Like, I don't know. I don't really care. Unless it's immediate to my team, and then I'm only looking at like 3 things. Well, what's your win-loss? What's your goals against average? What's your goals for average? How's your goaltender looking? I'm not.
I'm just the one who's crazy enough to keep an eye on anything and everything.
Yeah, I'm not everything college hockey. I don't have the time, energy, or give a shit to follow all 67 teams of Division I college hockey. I wish the NCHC would stop growing. Go back to 8. 8 was perfect. Knew everybody.
Hey.
I'm not saying that we can't get rid of somebody. We could switch you with Miami or St. Cloud. I don't care. I'm just saying, when we had 8 teams, I could watch everybody on one screen.
Mm-hmm.
I could fire up one screen of 4 games. Now I got to put 1 on my phone, 4 on the computer. You know, it's going to be awful next year when that's literally how I have to watch all the games unless I'm at a Western game. Who thinks 10 is a good idea? Nobody. 8 was perfect. You could remember it. You knew who was playing who because there was only 4 games to remember every weekend.
Well, technically, there is still only 4 games.
Time.
There's 5 games next year, a weekend.
I know, but this year you only had to remember 4.
New travel buddies. I had to remember who was not playing.
You know, honestly, 8 was pretty perfect because it broke down to, you know, well, like, didn't it break down to everybody played everybody else 4 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yep.
Well, no, I think there was still, what was it?
There was still some.
You played more teams twice, but there was still a couple teams you only played once.
Okay.
But now it's you only play X amount of teams 4 times and everybody else once to get to your 12.
I know me and Brent were travel buddies.
So, yeah, that makes... I mean, who else are you going to be travel buddies with? But it's so silly.
Yeah, there's honestly no option. You're not gonna tear Denver and Colorado College apart.
No, because they're an hour apart from each other. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I enjoy it.
And you're gonna stick us with Duluth?
I think we should have just, maybe not picked up St. Thomas and picked up like one of the Alaskas, and Arizona and Alaska could be travel pals.
That'd be fun.
And then Omaha and
annual, Rumble,
Nebraska stay together.
The annual Rumble at the Carlson Center.
Yeah.
Bring Tucker Ness back for the game every season.
Just hot and cold. The hot and cold series. Figure that one out.
Nice.
That'd be fun. All right, let's go. Let's see. Let's start with, I guess, Albany, because they host the overall #1 team in the tournament. One of 3 #1 seeds from the great state of Michigan, that being the University of Michigan. They host Bentley. Also in that regional is Minnesota Duluth and Penn State. I think we although it could happen, I think the obvious choice there in the first game, well, I don't know what time the games are going to be, so don't question anything I'm telling you as far as what games are played when. I don't know. I know they play on the 27th.
First game will be at 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because all right, whatever. Nope, I'm not going to complain anymore. We're flipping the switch to positivity.
For now.
All right. I think Michigan is the obvious choice there. I wouldn't be upset if somebody decided to shock the world. That's all I'm saying. All in agreement?
Yeah, Michigan's definitely the prohibitive favorite, and well, I mean, we saw how Bentley played another #1 seed tough last year in Boston College. Can they do the same thing? They did. They won their tournament back-to-back seasons to get that auto bid as the 16 team, but I just think the Wolverines are too much, too strong. Like, the only weakness that only thing that gives me pause is Jack Ivankovic just hasn't quite been the same since return to the ice. It seems to have kind of crept across to the entire roster, just a little psyche thing, whatever you want to call it. But I think they get their camp in order and take care of business against Bentley.
Yeah. Where's Bentley at? Where are they?
Waltham, Massachusetts, about
they're
an hour outside of Boston.
See, like, I don't think they're going to be able to pull off the same kind of magic that we saw in a couple of the 1-4s last year. I think the big thing that helped some of those was, Penn State. I think they were a 4 seed last year, but they were the host, and that really carried them, having that hometown advantage in Allentown, having a good crowd behind them. I think Michigan State fell to Cornell. Michigan State, I think didn't they win the Big Ten last year? So it wasn't like they were in a big hiatus like Minnesota was. I think Minnesota hadn't played 2 weeks before the tournament started.
Yeah, because Minnesota lost in the first round of the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
I love. Michigan State played till the end because they had a really, really, really good team.
But I think Michigan is the only 1 seed that played last weekend.
Yep.
And they played Ohio State for the Big Ten championship because Denver played UMD. Denver's a 2 seed and UMD's also a 2 seed. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not gonna be a lot of stiffness. Plus, Michigan, they won the Big Ten tournament. They got to play, maybe not so much in hockey, but the school's biggest rival in Ohio State, and that gave them a lot of juice. That game had a lot of juice. Plus being at Yost, I think it gave them a jump that they may need. But it comes down to one of those things like how much can Michigan keep it together and not overlook Bentley. Honestly, I think what could be the game.
And then here's the thing about Big Ten hockey. Here's the thing for me about Big Ten hockey is, they've got to be able to show something, and not just be all talk, not just be like, oh yeah, we're the only power conference that sponsors hockey. It's like, okay, great. When was the last time any of your teams won a national championship?
2007.
Michigan State in the
CCHA. That's right. Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. I think the Big Ten teams have got to step up, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4 representatives this year. I think we're losing them again.
I'll allude to this further on.
He is slowing down.
we got you'll allude further, and then we lost you. Oh, are you? Oh, all right. We'll let you.
I'll take Michigan. I think they'll get past Bentley. I think they've got enough. Like I said, it took them a little bit to get past Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, but at that end of the game, I had it on while I was watching in Denver, and it was 3-3. Next thing I knew, it was 4-3, and then I turned it on again. It was 6-3. I was like, all right, they're good.
I think they'll turn it on when they need to. I'm kind of with Wes. They could maybe overlook Bentley, but I think now with Denver, when Denver won their 10th title, and Western not having the Big Ten, and them seeing what the Minnesota teams and the Michigan State teams have gone through, where they're super talented, but they can't get over that hump. They're going to be like, we can't overlook anybody. We got to come out every day.
You would think that, but this was a team that was bragging about having 4 of the top 5 players in the NHL draft a few years ago, and absolutely bupkis.
They could also be feeling that and trying to get redemption from that. Hey, Tom's moving again.
Yeah,
hey, and he's clearer too.
I kept getting messages that my connection was unstable, so I had to switch over to my hotspot.
Yeah, no, we heard quite a few. It sounded like you were going through a tunnel, or on an elevator, or an elevator in a tunnel.
Why not all the above?
Yeah. But I think what could be the game of the first round, if it lives up to the hype that it is getting currently, is going to be Minnesota Duluth versus Penn State. You have a lot of high-end talent. Duluth is still a relatively young team. Penn State has some good talent. I think Penn State's maybe putting a lot of their eggs in the Gavin McKenna basket, which might hurt them a little bit. Duluth has a good line, but they've also shown that they can split up that line a little bit and spread out their scoring a little bit more and be just as productive together and separately. And they've got a hell of a coach in Sandlin who knows how to win.
Absolutely deadly power play.
Yeah, ungodly power play, and going against a team that draws an awful lot of penalties in Penn State.
And also don't forget Minnesota Duluth has Adam Gajan.
Yeah, that was great pronunciation.
For those who did watch the selection show, it's Guyon, not Gajan.
Hey, you know what? Again, as we may or may not have mentioned, these guys only cover a month's worth of hockey. Okay? It's not like they see the same teams year in and year out, and they should know that it is not Garrett Slukinski and call an alternate captain of a team Garrett Slukinski 17 times in a game.
Isn't that his name?
No, it's not. It is Grant Slukinski and Garrett Sedlowski.
See, I knew that positivity switch wouldn't be flipped on for too long.
I'm positive that guy doesn't know how to read.
Well, those GS initials get to be a little bit confusing.
I mean, yeah, sure. 23 and no, he's 20. It's 24 and Grant's 13. I don't know. It's, all the S's. And then there was some other name that dude messed up a whole bunch of times because I was counting that game because it was fun. Anyway, this one feels a little bit tougher. I think Duluth is going to win this game though. I think their talent's a little more spread out. I trust Sandlin. If you be smart and draw penalties, which Duluth has been really, really good at getting other teams to take penalties. They just showed a lot of resilience in the NCHC game against Denver. They don't let big situations run them over. And I think it could definitely be Michigan versus Minnesota Duluth in the regional championship there in Albany.
Yeah. It's I'm taking Duluth as well.
Give me Scott Sandelin and the Bulldogs.
Plus, it's that time of year where we finally start playing better, and that was by getting to the conference championship game.
And fun fact, of all the teams that have won national championships for the NCHC, Minnesota Duluth is the only one to do it without winning either the Penrose or the now named National Cup in the same season as winning their national championship. So they have shown.
We haven't won the Penrose, so there's that.
You're not one of the 4 teams, one of the cool kids that have won the Penrose.
We win what matters.
So do we. So there. Can't use that on me anymore. Ha-ha. Nerd. Next up, also starting on the 29th, which is Friday. I don't know why. Why do we start on Friday? What are we doing here? Wait. Yeah, Friday. Apparently, we're going to go back in time when we get to the other half of the bracket because of the way the stupid one that I clicked on is set up. I don't care. Let's go all the way out west. Western Michigan takes on Minnesota State Mankato. Denver, the host team, gets Cornell. A rematch of the first round in not St. Louis, because that's what Fargo. In Fargo is where these 2 teams played last year. In Fargo. Minnesota State and Mankato. Mankato has a couple of former Western players. Tristan Lemaire and Ian Samoza playing on that team. Both have played really, really well for the Mavs this year. Western has some challenges that they did not have last year. They're missing 2 of their top defensemen that they've been missing for the majority of the year. I don't think their defensive play without those guys has been as strong. They've been able to get penned in their own zone and have trouble clearing out the puck again. There's been a couple plays where guys have gotten behind their defense. Hampton is a great goalie, but he's been known to give up at least a couple a game here. It's winnable for both teams. This is a much closer matchup than it might look compared to some of the other. It's definitely a closer 1-4 matchup than we're going to see in some of the other regions for sure. Western, squeaked out a win last year. Mankato's really been trying to get over that hump and get out of the first round or whatever it may be here lately. They've gotten close. They've had, back-to-back really good goaltenders in who was before Lacey? Old PEDs over there.
Yeah.
Dryden McKay.
Yes, McKay.
Yeah.
Then McKay, who played really, really good and may or may not have had some assistance of a certain substance. Maybe, possibly, potentially. Allegedly may have led to him leaving early. And now, a couple of years in a row now, Lacey's been talked about. So a really good goalie matchup there between Hampton and Lacey.
Tracy,
damn it, I knew that. Tracy, T-L's. Okay, again, I don't watch these teams. As I talked about some dude who didn't know how to pronounce names. But again, that's different because those teams are in the conference. I would know those names. This one is so freaking close. Also, here's another fun fact for you. If Western scores 4, they're really, really good. If Western does not score 4, they kind of fucking suck. So they say that Mankato plays a little bit like Colorado College, and we know that Western struggles with Colorado College. Other than they're maybe a little more offensive than Colorado College is. So this one could also compete for game of the first round. But I'll tell you, whoever wins this game is the team I'm rooting for the rest of the way. I don't care about anything else. I will either root for my actual team or I will be rooting for Tristan to get 3. Well, that's as far as she goes.
Well, this game went double overtime last year too, didn't it?
Yep. Grant Sukinski scored the game winner, tucked it under Tracy's legs in the second overtime to move Western on to play UMass.
Yep.
Well, while I'm not thinking it's going to go double overtime, I think that overtime is a very real possibility. I think that this is, like you said, is a fantastic goaltending matchup. I think also one of the things, I will kind of critique Hampton a little bit. Not saying it's entirely his fault, but like he had the benefit of Cameron Rowe throughout the season last year up until the NCHC tournament and into the through the national tournament. He's played every game this season. He's seen the ups and the downs of being the guy all year long. I think how does that go on him for entering this game? We'll see.
I think the break here benefits Hampton a little bit. I think what we saw in the first half of this year was just the fact that kid had been playing hockey for basically 18 straight months. And if you don't know what I mean by that, go look up that kid's schedule. He had USHL, they win a championship. He goes to the US development team thinking he's still going to go to Northern Michigan until their coach leaves and he re-enters the portal. He comes to Western. Over the winter break, he plays with the World Juniors. So he doesn't even get the first Christmas break of his freshman year. He comes back. Western goes on a deep run, wins the national championship. He goes and plays with the U.S. men's team, wins the world championship, gold medal with the men's team. Then goes out to the L.A. training camp with Grant, comes back and it's the start of the next hockey season. So the kid didn't have a break until Christmas this year. So I think, and then we saw him play much better after the Christmas break, and he finally got a chance to exhale and take in whatever he had done for the last year. You have other guys who were injured playing through injuries. Owen Michaels was playing through an injury the first half of the year. His game picked up in the second half of the year. I think one team who may benefit from the break is this Western team not having played last weekend. But I'm going to take Western because they're my team. But like I said, if Mankato pulls the win here, I'm not going to call it an upset. But if Mankato pulls out on top, I'm going to root for Mankato the rest of the way through the tournament.
Yeah, Mike? It's certainly not going to be an upset by any means. It'll be a hard fought game no matter who wins it.
Yeah, and Bucci and Cohen are going to top that up the whole time. If Minnesota State does
12 mentions of his game-winning goal.
Yeah. I'm going to take Western. It's going to be a close game, at least on paper. I just think Western's got enough, just enough more to defeat Minnesota State. But I'm right there with you. Like, whoever wins this game, like, might just be like everyone's team.
I need Western to take Tracy's eyes away, though. I need them to get net front presence, which they have not been great at getting for a large part of the year. They got to get to the greasy areas. That's how they're going to score goals. And you know that Mankato is going to try and do the same thing on Hampton, because that was the one weakness that Hampton had last year in the tournament. And at the start of the year, he was just not strong on pucks in the crease, and it led to goals throughout the tournament last year. Mike, any thoughts?
I really don't know who to pick because I've seen a little bit of Mankato. I've seen more Western. Again, if my team's out, one of these two obviously went to watch the Western guys last year in the regional final. Sorry, Tristan, I'm going to have to go with Western, but it's going to be a close one.
I even told him that. I was like, look, I hope you have a good game, but I hope Western beats you. But if you win, fucking go win the whole goddamn thing. Win all three, all right? Like, go do it. Be amazing. And then Denver takes on Cornell. Denver's just playing stupid good hockey again. Maybe a little bit struggle closing out games again, which was kind of their downfall last year in some big games. Rookie goalie Hicks has been playing really, really well after kind of a shaky start to his college career. They do still have a very solid backup if they need him. But I think this one's going to be Denver. And potentially, I think whoever wins this regional is going to be my favorite to win the tournament this year.
I'm not sure I would call a 12-0-1 played by Johnny Hicks since taking over the starting job on January 24th shaky.
I said shaky to start when he was coming in a little bit of relief, not as after he became, and part of the reason he won the job was because of some injuries, but he has played very, very well.
That's my factor right there. It is two very good goaltenders, but the difference between Denver and Cornell is just the depth scoring that Denver has up and down the lineup. Cornell does not stack up well on the offensive side of the puck. All due credit to Alexis Cornelier in net, but he can't score goals.
I will say this too, though. If you look at the recent history of Denver, they struggle to score in the tournament. Their offensive numbers drop drastically from the regular season to the NCAA tournament. And it has happened every year. And I know that's because these games get tighter, but even in the last two conference tournament finals, like they've got a bunch of scoring early and then their scoring kind of dropped off. The semifinal against Western last year, Western got out to a 2-goal lead. They fought back, but their offense kind of once again kind of disappeared there, even through the, it was a lot more back and forth, but their offense was starting to struggle, and then Western was able to cash in early in the double overtime again on them. But as much as Denver is a powerhouse offensively, I think if you look at their history in the tournament, they get a lot tighter, and they do not run away from very many teams. Even when they won the national title, I think that was three overtime, like 1-0-2-1 games into the finals against BC 2 years ago.
Yeah, that final was won on the strength of Matt Davis.
Yeah.
I'm going with Denver. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, yeah. Before we move on to the next region, the fun point that I saw in my research was Cornell did extended their record for sub 2.0 goals against averages to 26 straight seasons. More than that is double what the second longest active streak is, belonging to both Minnesota State and Providence. And Cornell and Minnesota State are the only two schools since 2014-15 to maintain a sub 2.0 average. It's just incredible.
That's crazy.
Forget about the the Ivy Leagues play fewer games. I mean, you've still got to be on it to do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you're still playing great hockey to pull those numbers. Next up in Sioux Falls, who actually play what day is it? The 28th, the Thursday. No. Yes, 26th. It's very small. I have so much crap on my goddamn screen to try and pay attention to make the show as it's little shitty as it is. I mean, it's very shitty stream, but to make it as tolerable as it may be to at least some people. I don't even know if I tolerate our own shit anymore. Anyway, struggles at the beginning, or not the struggles at the end. Stop it. The 26th, number 1 seed in Sioux Falls is North Dakota. They took on Merrimack. They are going to be regional buddies with Providence and Quinnipiac. North Dakota has not won a national championship since 2016. They have not won. I don't think they've won a first round matchup since 2016. That was part of the reason why they were leaning into switching coaches up here, moving from Bradbury, who won it in his first season after also capturing the Penrose. Dane Jackson looking to repeat those fates, as both teams also lost to Minnesota Duluth in the semifinals of the Frozen Face-Off. And if you followed this page on Twitter, you would know that, because that was the fun fact of the day today. Rookie goaltender Spoonar for North Dakota has been incredible. A couple games here and there, he's gotten lit up a little bit, but overall, incredible goaltender. I think he's the NCHC goalie of the year, which is incredible because he was not the starting goaltender in North Dakota at the beginning of the season. I believe Tom may know who that young man may have been, having watched him.
That was none other than Gibson Homer, who was the latest in the Tempe to Grand Forks transfer window.
You'd think there would be people going the other way to the nicer weather.
Yeah, go from where it's cold to where it's warm in the winter.
Yeah. And you would be in Arizona at the perfect time. It would be nice out, not melt your face off 3 seconds of being outside. It's a dry heat. I don't care. It's hot, and I can only be so naked, both before it's acceptable and before I run out of clothes, which is well after it's acceptable. Just saying. Because not only do you have to deal with the heat.
I think all of us here would like to not see that happen.
See? Because not only is it the heat, but it's the fact that the sun is right there and it'll burn the shit out of everything. Anyway, weird side note aside. I know dog shit about Merrimack. Don't know where they play, don't know who they played, don't know what they did in the regular season. North Dakota is playing well. I'm going to just give it to North Dakota for the sake of it's an NCHC team, and I know absolutely nothing about Merrimack, and most of the people who get projections right just pick a team anymore, so I'll pick North Dakota. Making the NCHC 3-0 so far for me.
Yeah.
Well, I do know a little bit about Merrimack, hailing from North Andover, Massachusetts. But Max Lundgren in goal. He has had a very solid season. He's just kept on keeping on. And you don't win Hockey East as the first 8 seed to take the conference championship by accident. This team got hot at the right time. It was the right combination of both BC and BU being bad in the same season, and Providence bowing out early and not even making it to Boston for the semifinals. That being said, though, I think the magical mystery tour that is the Merrimack Warriors team comes to an end against North Dakota.
Yeah, I hope Merrimack wins, because if Merrimack wins, I'm going up to Sioux Falls to the regional final. But
you don't want to root for North Dakota? Root for the conference?
No, because if Merrimack wins, that means there's no North Dakota there.
That's what I'm saying. You don't want to root for the conference and go cheer on the boys in green.
Well, here's the thing: North Dakota's going to win. Okay, so I don't have to root for them because they're going to win. But it might be closer than people think. I don't know if they have a shot to win, but they might stick with it for a little bit.
Or you go up there and you actively root against them.
That's what
I'm not doing that. I'm not going to Grand Forks South.
They might be able to pull a Bentley and make it interesting for 55 minutes before 2 quick goals at the end.
I just don't know if Merrimack has the scoring. They obviously have the goaltending. I don't know if they're going to be able to score enough to keep up.
They've got 3 35-point scorers in Parker Lalonde, Justin Gill, and Trevor Hoskin, all with at least 13 goals. Five players with at least 10 goals with at least 13 goals this season, but it is a significant drop off after those top 5. You have Kalen Fitzpatrick with 29 points, Caden Cranston with 25 points, and then the goal scoring drops off. It's more just assist guys down the line.
Yeah, and just getting through the tournament. I mean, they beat UConn 2-1, UMass 2-0, and Providence 3-2. So,
like I said,
but they did enough to win.
Yeah, and we know tournament time, you do not have to be a high scoring team. You just have to score at the right times to win some of these games and move along.
True. So, but North Dakota's going to win. So,
it's a long way of getting there after.
Yeah. It might be closer than people think, but North Dakota should win.
Yeah, I mean, I think North Dakota should win too, with how strong they've been all year. They just they shot towards the top and really had a nice bounce back from what they did last year.
And the other game in that regional is Providence versus Quinnipiac. 2 teams that have won a national title recently that are not NCHC teams, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I think Quinnipiac is the most recent non-NCHC team to win it, and then Providence was
2015,
right before the dominance started.
Yeah.
So
that was the weird year when Omaha made it.
Wait, does that mean
my
that
first before I attended too? I
think they're the only 2. Are they the only 2 teams that aren't NCHC teams to win the NCAA tournament since the conference started?
Yeah, because Quinnipiac was 21.
Yeah, I was gonna say
23.
Yeah, because they beat Minnesota.
UMass was the other one. UMass was the other one.
UMass,
okay, so there's 3.
Right.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah, UMass beat us in 21 because that stopped our repeat.
Who beat St. Cloud?
UMass beat St. Cloud in the
UMass did.
game.
Oh, was it I thought that was the final. Or no, that was the final.
It
So
was
then-
the final.
Yeah,
Yeah.
UMass St. Cloud was the championship.
Because I was actively rooting against St. Cloud because that was St. Cloud, Mankato, UMD, and then UMass because
Yeah.
we almost had 4 Minnesota, like an all Minnesota Frozen Four.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because Bemidji was, I think Bemidji was the team who lost.
Yeah. Bemidji upset Wisconsin in a 4-1 knockoff.
See, I know something about teams that aren't NCHC teams. Just not a whole lot. Listen, I know a lot of what I don't know, but then there's stuff that I don't know that I don't know. All right, stop. Nope. So this is a coin flip for me. Providence gave us Liam Valente, so I'm gonna pick Providence.
Well, and these are two teams that won their regular season conference too, right? Yeah, Quinnipiac won ECAC and Providence won Hockey East. So two very good teams. I just don't know. I don't know who's going to come out on top because I feel like they both are about even.
I'm a Rand Pecknold fanboy. I'm pulling Quinnipiac in this one. When you've got Ethan Wittenbach, one of the Hobie Baker finalists, putting up nearly 60 points, he drives the bus. You've also got another 20 goal scorer in Marcus Vidicek. You've got, what is that? 5 30-point scorers, and then Dylan Silverstein and Matej Marinov in net. Marinov has gotten the bulk of the games. I think he's going to be the primary to go in the regional opener. But this team is. I'm not going to say that they're a sleeper to make a deep run, but I've got them getting the first round victory at least.
I was just gonna go Quinnipiac because West went Providence. I was just gonna go opposite end. That's how much research I've done on the bracket and how much I know about a lot of these other teams.
I mean, I literally picked Providence because that's where we got Liam Valente from, and he is awesome. It's gonna be sad to see him leave at the end of this year. All right, last one. Also playing Thursday the 26th. Michigan State, UConn, Dartmouth, and Wisconsin in Worcester, Massachusetts. UConn and Michigan State. UConn was a team that upset some teams last year. I think they got into the second round.
UConn lost to Penn State in the regional final in
Allentown.
It was Allentown. That's the one.
Yeah, Penn State rode that hometown crowd to a Frozen Four appearance, and UConn I think was a surprise to be there. But UConn played really well. Michigan State, they still have a lot of good players there. Arguably one of the best goaltenders in the country in Augustine. Some offensive weapons. I've seen Michigan State play a little bit, just because they're just down the road. And our buddy who we had on the show this year, Ben Holden, big Michigan State fan, called some of their games. So, and they're on Big Ten Network and all those other stupid things that Michigan State does. I have no idea about UConn other than they were pretty good last year. And I feel like a lot of people are not sold on Michigan State, but they've been a top 3 team pretty much all season. I think there's a reason for it. They're Big Ten regular season. Did they win the regular season? No. Yes. No.
Yeah, they did. They did
Yes.
win the regular season.
Yes.
Their third straight regular season, and then got knocked out in the semifinals by Ohio State.
Right. So they've had a week off. I'll give it to Michigan State. That way, all 3 Michigan teams make it to the second round. And I know very little about. I know less about UConn than I do Michigan State, and I know very little about Michigan State.
I made a very potentially controversial claim earlier today. For those who care to go see it, and if you want to give me heat for it, by all means you can, but Michigan State is my lock for a number 1 seed to lose in the first round. I'm not sold, not only on Michigan State, but just Big Ten hockey in general. I alluded to it earlier. The conference just can't deliver, and until the conference can deliver, everyone's gonna suffer in my eyes, and not, I will not get the benefit of the doubt.
I don't remember where I was, but I think I was talking to my wife or someone. I was like, the Big Ten always talks a big talk all season, and like, oh, look how good we are. We have the number 1 team and whatever. And it's like, yeah, but what have they done?
What do you have to show for it?
You get to the tournament, and you have to play an NCHC team or literally anyone, and it just blows up in your face. And so I get where you're coming from. I feel like Michigan State probably has the best chances of being that team to be the early out this season.
I mean, I think to your point, Brent, it's they're living in the Twin Cities area. Just on the radio when they do talk college hockey, it's a lot of Big Ten, not so much on one show, but the rest of it. And they would have Mott's go on, and it's, well, the Big Ten, I mean, we're so good, it gets tough because we beat up on each other all the time. I'm like, so does every conference. Like, you're not saying anything new. It's not like Hockey East is playing 6 series against Hockey East, then playing everyone else. No, they're all beating up on each other. So that point is done. But we're top 1 through 7 or whatever they are, and it's like, yeah, so is the NCHC, and you guys don't prove it. You get close, but you don't prove it. I mean, they could be that early out. I'm still gonna think they get past UConn, since really the only 1 seed to, in my opinion, is the most likely is Western, just because of how close they are with Mankato and how they play. So I'm going to say Michigan State gets through over UConn.
Yeah. Poor little Broncos. Oh, man. I don't. All right. We can talk about that later. Last one, Dartmouth at Wisconsin. Or playing Wisconsin. I don't know who the hell the home. I guess Dartmouth would be the home team, considering they're the higher seed, so they'll probably get last change. So it would be Wisconsin at Dartmouth. I know Wisconsin at the beginning of the year was really, really good. They had some issues around Christmas and into the second half of the season. Not coming in on a strong finish to the Big Ten season. So Dartmouth could get them, I think. And if they do, then that's a whole lot of green and white in the regional final if Michigan State and Dartmouth win.
Let's also not forget that Wisconsin got thoroughly embarrassed by Ohio State at home in the first round of the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Snuck into the tournament.
I mean, say what you will about about having the rest and whatever, but this is not only this extended period for Wisconsin, but you got to think that there's a little bit of a psyche factor on, to some extent, where guys are like, is this enough to stay in? Like, guys will say all the right things. They're like, oh, we're not worrying about that. We're just doing business as usual. But
I think
it's gonna, it creeps around in guys' minds when it's like we're right there on the edge.
I would say Wisconsin feels like the Minnesota team from last year, a team that was struggling down the stretch and didn't get nearly as far into the conference finals as they wanted to, and got that unforced break that they were hoping to avoid. And how much did that play against Minnesota, and can it do something similar here to Wisconsin? Or can Wisconsin use that time to turn things around and get prepped and come and play. But I'm going to go Dartmouth. I was not really impressed with Wisconsin when they played in the holiday tournament against Western Michigan right at the start of what led to their some of their downfalls.
Yeah, it's the Dartmouth Magic for me. Reed Cashman got this team back to the tournament for the first time since 1980.
Yeah,
I don't think any of us were even born yet.
Nope.
And I know you weren't, since you're only about 6 months older than me.
My sisters were alive, but not I, sir. Not I. End of that decade.
Yeah,
I made my appearance.
Give me Dartmouth.
Yep, I'm going Dartmouth, and I mean, just for any other reason, fuck Wisconsin. Even though I'm wearing red, no. I'm turned the wrong way.
Now that we're mentioning Dartmouth, I need to find the clip from American Dad when Roger hosts. I think it's when Roger hosts Spring Break, and he talks about college fight songs and how they're all basically the same, and then he sings Dartmouth fight song. He's like, Dartmouth fight song.
The only good thing I will say about Wisconsin is that my high school used On Wisconsin for our fight song for football games. And then if you watch the cartoon Robin Hood from like the 1970s, the football scene where the chicken is running down the field and pushing across all those rhinoceros and elephants and everything, they play both On Wisconsin and then the University of Southern California fight song too.
Nice. I love that movie.
I think we used the Wisconsin fight song too in high school.
Except ours was Onward Tigers.
Ours, we had to play that for pep band, but ours was I think ours was the Illinois fight song.
I don't know that we had or used one. I don't remember. No, I never learned it. I know the Western fight song though. Got that one, but could not tell you about high school. Yep. So we went through all the games. Boy, I am just not as confident in Western as I was this year. But I will never not root for my boys. So
they're gonna have to earn it. Always be the case.
They're gonna have to earn it this year.
Yeah, I think Loveland or Albany is where the champion is going to come from this year. I think those are the top two conferences, top to bottom. I mean, there's 8 good teams amongst those two conferences. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of green and white in the semifinals.
Can you imagine if it's Cornell, Penn State, Dartmouth, and like anyone but North Dakota making the Frozen Four? And it's just all East Coast teams that have to travel to Las Vegas if they want to cheer on their team.
ESPN would be happy about the East Coast team winning it.
They would come in last minute and be like, nope, we're changing where the Frozen Four is.
Surprise, it's in Boston again.
Hey, just remember, you only have to win 4 games to be the national champion from here on out. I think any one of these teams is capable of putting up a 4-game winning streak. So it's going to be a fun tournament. Honestly, probably maybe one of the better ones in the last few years.
I think it speaks to the parity that has been there like the last few seasons with everything. Like Dartmouth, first time since, way back when that they're back in the tournament. And it's nice having some teams that have been in it like the last few seasons, but it's nice having those new teams too to kind of come in and pose a new challenge.
And nobody from the Bean Pot.
First time since 1981.
Yeah, that's kind of nice too.
It wasn't a live bet either, Tom.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer. But I was not either. Anything else? I think that's it. Kind of a long one. We're at 2 hours, but there was a lot of stuff.
A lot to cover.
some shenanigans mixed in the front didn't help either.
Well, any Broncos fans who are going to be making the trip to Loveland, give me a shout. We'd love to meet up with some of y'all and just connect.
For the second year in a row, AD Dan Bartholomew is going to, and the athletic department are going to be covering some student tickets for guys who get out there. Actually, in fact, because of that, Mankato has also stepped up, and their athletic department said they would do the same. So if some Mankato fans get out there, students make it to Loveland. I believe that they've posted information for the students to figure it out. But look into that if you're from one of those schools. Your athletic directors and athletic departments are trying to get some more fans in the building and provide an experience to some students that may not otherwise have gotten that opportunity. And I think it's freaking awesome that these universities are stepping up, and this is the second year that Dan has made that promise. I think it's maybe the second or third year that they've made a promise similar to that, because they also did it for the Frozen Four last year and for some other postseason tournament. I don't remember which one. I think it was another Frozen Four a couple years before that. So, or Frozen Face Off a couple years before that. But, and I know they did it for the Frozen Four in St. Louis also with, I think they ended up buying like 100 student tickets last year to get some of the Lost and Lunatics in St. Louis. So cool things going on. I think college hockey is a spot where it's definitely easy to fall in love with the game, and it provides a completely different experience than the program does. So I will forever be a college hockey fan, maybe more so than an NHL fan, and I have an NHL tattoo. So that'll tell you something. To be fair, I have a college one too, but not directly college hockey. Anyway, beside the point. Too much personal information. You don't need to know that about me. Don't look at me like that.
Well, I'll see you in Vegas then.
I will not be in Vegas because I am
Brent, I will see you there.
Yeah,
but
we are way up top. But
we'll
be there.
In the building.
Yep.
I hope that T-Mobile, it's at T-Mobile Arena, right? I don't want to be speaking out of turn.
Yeah.
They put it somewhere else weird because fucking, I don't know, like the Golden Knights have games or something, and it interfered with their ability, and maybe they call it Vegas, but it's actually in Henderson at the. Anyway, that's something. That's something that the NCHC would, or NCAA would do.
Anywhere but where the icebreaker was a couple years ago.
I think that was in Henderson, wasn't it? Or the Silver.
No, it was at the Orleans.
Yeah, isn't that where the Silver Knights play?
No, the Orleans is also on. It's also on the Strip, right?
Yeah.
It's a little off the Strip, but it is not a place to play hockey.
But hopefully they have stepped their game up since when the T-Mobile Arena hosted the Ice Vegas tournament before COVID, because boy, that was another time that some names were not pronounced right. And I think after having hosted the Stanley Cup the year before, they could have figured out how to host a hockey game. But, I'm sure they're better now, having won the Stanley Cup and having some extra years under their belt of hosting things. But yeah, we'll hopefully talk about the next two rounds, the next episode, and then we'll talk about a new champion in a couple weeks. Good luck to all the teams involved, all the players. Hope everybody stays healthy and gets an opportunity to continue their careers after these weekends, because we're going to see some guys sign some pro deals. We've already seen a bunch, but who knows? I don't know. Some of those guys who signed pro deals could be back next year too. The whole hockey world is in a fuzzle that nobody understands anymore.
Fugazi, Ahosi, Watsi.
Yeah, guys signing college deals after playing pro contracts for half a year. Who knows what's going on anymore? There's a Mike, there's a Tom, there's a Brent. I'm Wes. We're in one of these squares here. We've got some stuff on the socials. Nothing's been scrolling around the bottom of the screen because we have friends down there. So Hopefully you've watched the show before and you know where to find us, because I'm not telling you. Bye.
Skates hit ice and the crowd roars. Go horns blast every time the home team scores. From the barn to the broadcast, we bring the sound. Fight songs echo through every college town. Cold air fighting while the pace stays strong. NCHC nights run fast and long. Blades cut deep and the boards shake tight. This is college hockey, every shift, every night. Welcome to the nation. Game on, stay strong. All horns roaring while the fight songs roll on. From the rink to the rafters, the crowd sings along. Call, hoop, and fight songs. This is where we belong. From the west to the Midwest, a rivalry spark. Every matchup hits heavy, every barn gets dark. Fast ice, big hits, every night feels prime. NCHC hockey legends built over time. We talk grit, talk glory, talk battles on blades, talk goal line scrambles and overtime shades. From the booth to the bench, every story rings true. If you love this game, then this show's for you. Skate sharp light. Welcome to the nation.